Here we go. Again, welcome to CBD for Pets. I do apologize for that little bit of an interruption there, but we are back again. So I'm going to move on. Thank you for joining us. Here we go. CBD and the endocannabinoid system. CBD stands for cannabidiol. Cannabidiol is one of over 113 identified cannabinoids found in the cannabis plant. The cannabis plant that I'm discussing with you today is the cannabis sativa plant, and it is also known as the hemp plant. The hemp plant and cannabis sativa are part of the cannabis family, but it is not marijuana. Marijuana is a species of the cannabis plant, just like hemp is. Marijuana's makeup generally has a higher level of a cannabinoid called THC. THC stands for tetrahydrocannabinol. THC is illegal in most countries. It induces a high or euphoria when taken. In the hemp plant, the THC levels are naturally very low. So in Ireland and most of the EU and most of the world, where CBD is legal, the THC level is not allowed to exceed 0.2%, or in some countries it is 0.3%. But in Ireland and the EU, it is 0.2%. So the products that we'll be discussing today, if any, and any of the products that are supplied by Healthy Hemp itself and Hempshire, we abide 100% by the EU and Irish regulations of THC maximum levels. So CBD is the cannabinoid in the cannabis plant that has shown to have the most benefits. Now, the benefits that I'm going to be discussing with you today in our next slides are benefits that have been discovered from in vitro, in animal testing, and also benefits that have been, that I've been given by my clients in feedback who have been using CBD, and for today's presentation in particular, CBD for pets. So CBD itself, well, CBD, cannabidiol, is a supplement. It is legalized in Ireland and the EU as a food supplement. And this supplement supplements a system in our body called the endocannabinoid system. Now, who has an endocannabinoid system? Well, all animals with a spine have an endocannabinoid system. So, your furry family member has exactly the same system, the ECS, as you do. So that's actually, it's not many people would think of that. They would think of the animal, yes, you know, animal, it breathes air, it has lungs and that. But with regard to systems, are we the same? Yes, we have the same systems in our body. Now, the endocannabinoid's main function in the body is to modulate. It's to encourage homeostasis or balance of all the other systems in the body. And when I say all the other systems in the body, we're talking about the skeletal system, the endocrine system, the nervous system, all the other systems, and there's 12. So the ECS's function is to keep those systems in balance. And if you have your systems in balance, you are in health. So our pets suffer with the same imbalances in their systems as we do. So for most of us, our pets, their health is of utmost importance to us. And we go to great lengths to make sure that they have the correct bedding and that their coats are healthy, that their skin is healthy, that they're having the right food and dietary food, that they get the right amount of exercise and go for walks. And we make sure that these things are all done. And these elements of keeping our pets healthy are elements that we are able to see. But there's a health of our pets that we can't see, and it's not so easy to be able to pinpoint immediately. Generally, we see that there's a bit of a difference happening in our pet when they start to show it. So I'm going to talk about some of the benefits that CBD has for those health challenges or health challenges, couldn't think of another word, that afflict the imbalances that our pets deal with. So one of the ones that's very common amongst our pets, and it would be from very small little pets all the way up to equine, would be the health challenge of arthritis. So some of the benefits from CBD is, for example, it helps prevent arthritis. Now that has been proven, and I have a reference at the bottom of the slide there for you if you wish to actually investigate any of this information that's written down on the slide in front of you. Please do. So it helps prevent arthritis. It reduces inflammation. It may reduce risk and severity of seizures. It can help reduce anxiety in our pets. It may help fight against cancer. And I can talk about that a little bit more later, or if you're interested, please just put the question forward to me. But as I said, right there at the bottom is the link that gives you the case studies related to these actual benefits that have been shown in animals. And lastly, it helps improve appetite. So please, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, take a look at the reference. It's there for you to read. So our pets have the endocannabinoid system, as I said, just as ourselves. In the endocannabinoid system, we have receptors, and I'm not going to stay on this page for too long because I've discussed this quite in depth in our ABCs of CBD video. And if you're looking for that, it is a rather long video because there's a lot of information, but you'll find it on our YouTube channel. Now, there are different receptors in the body. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about CB1 and CB2, and our CBD works with those two receptors. But we actually have other receptors in the body that CBD seems to bind with actually more directly than the CB1 and CB2. Not saying that that CBD does not benefit the CBD and work, as a lock and key with the CB1 and CB2. But these are just some of the receptors, and these receptors are exactly the same receptors that you find in us as a human being. You will find them in our pets. So we look at one of the conditions, anxiety. Now, anxiety is very common and not always seen as an anxiety. Behaviors that our dogs or our cats or our pets have are not always labeled as anxiety. But here's just a few pointers that maybe you want to look out for to see if your pet is possibly suffering with a little bit of anxiety. So some of the behaviors is separation anxiety, and CBD has shown to actually work phenomenally well with this. When you leave the home and there's constant barking or howling, or with regard to cats, they become destructive in their behavior, and dogs as well. They start to chew everything while you're away. This is an anxiety with regard to separation in particular that they are suffering with. Another sign of anxiety is urinating. Sometimes it's a lot, but sometimes it's a little bit of wee that the pet will give off when greeted or petted. Panting and pacing. This is very common, obviously, in our dogs, but it's also seen in cats where there's an unnecessary high amount of panting or pacing, and yet they haven't actually come back from exercise or having done any type of exertion. So it's because their anxiety levels are so high, it's the way that their body naturally feels is a bit of an escape and a calming. Excessive barking. We've all dealt with that, or we've heard a neighbor's dog who barks excessively. Aggression. Now, aggression, I also put in brackets their defense, and you'll see what I mean by that a little bit further on. Cowering in corners or under furniture. Shivering. I have quite a few clients who have contacted me and wondered if CBD would help their dog. Their dog seems fine and is very friendly, but is constantly shaking or shivering. And that is can be a sign of anxiety. Depression. Now, a lot of the depression can be related to pain. So I've also put that in a bracket there. Running away and needing to constantly escape. Now, this also happens quite often, for example, with dogs or cats, that when there's lightning or thunder, and as many of you know, our dogs and our pets tend to pick up on disruptive weather before we even do. So we may see that the weather report is saying there's some thunder and lightning coming in, but we don't really react to it until it's with us, where our pets are able to pick it up from miles away before we've even heard a slight roar or vibration in the weather. So moving on. So a next one that we're looking at is our pets that suffer with pain. Now, our pets tell us that they are suffering with pain, and sometimes these signs are obvious, like a limp or an open wound or an injury that we can see. But most of the time, the signs are not so obvious and can be very difficult to read, especially if it's in an area that is not visible and could be internal. So some signs of pain could be excessive and compulsive self-grooming, and particularly in a specific area. And usually when that happens is because if there's nothing on top of the skin or visible to us, the pain is inside. Licking of the paws or the joints, it can be an indication that there's a pain inside the joint and not actually that there's a problem on the skin. Now, sometimes from excessive licking and this compulsive grooming of that particular area, they may form an actual sore or wound on that area that they're licking all the time. So, but it may not be the reason why they're licking the area. It may be deeper down. Another sign of pain is you could find your pet could become more vocal. And this is both for cats and dogs and other animals. Groaning when moving or growling, barking or whining. These are just a few signs of becoming more vocal. Loss of appetite. This is a huge indicator in most times that your pet is not well. So, because our pets love to eat. They would never decline something scrumptious. So for them to actually decline something that's really yummy is an indication possibly that they're not well or they're suffering with pain. Decreased mobility or difficulty in moving. When their general movement starts to minimize, our pets do this because it's their way of basically resting and trying to heal. Now, pain from arthritis or hip pain can also be seen where they no longer are climbing the stairs or no longer jumping onto the sofa or into the car and so forth. They seem to be extremely hesitant, and you seem to find that you're needing to persuade them more to do and perform the action. And then that's generally a sign that maybe they are suffering with some hip pain or arthritic pain. Could be in any of the joints, even the shoulders. Aggression. Now, aggression is also a bit of a sign of pain, because if you have a generally very placid and docile pet and your pet suddenly becomes quite aggressive or snappy at you, this sudden change in behavior to be slightly more aggressive could also be their defense. They're in pain, they don't want you to touch them. So it's not necessarily just a sign of aggression. It's aggression because they are not feeling well and are basically kicking into defense. They worry that maybe you're going to hurt them or that touching them is going to inflict even more pain. Accidents in the house. Now, well-trained house-trained pets, I should say, who suddenly start to urinate or defecate in the home, this can be related to pain, but not just necessarily pain. This is also seen in a lot of our elderly pets. but it is a bit of an indication. One of the indications that your pet may be experiencing pain. Changes in your pet's sleeping habits. Again, another one that could happen. An increase in your pet's sleeping habit, sleeping more often. They're doing this because, again, they're trying to heal and rest, and also the area is painful. So to move it obviously brings on more pain, so they prefer to actually not move and bring their movement and go into sleep as a way of not having to feel the pain. But a decrease in your pet's sleeping habit could also be an indication of pain, because they're finding it very difficult to sleep because of the intensity of the pain that they are possibly suffering with. So that's a few tips on our pain, related to tips for you to look out for if your pet may be suffering with pain. Now, we have different types of CBD for pets. You will find CBD for pets in oils, chews, and treats. I tend to find from my side that I have only really been exposed to the oils for pets. My clients have only used oils for pets. I know there are chews and treats out there. From my side, I have found that the oil has a great bioavailability when it comes to our pets. Now, when it comes to taking CBD oils, as a human, I would recommend, if you're going to take the oil, to put the oil underneath the tongue, to hold it for 60 seconds, longer if you possibly can. The longer you hold it, the more the oil is going to absorb directly into the bloodstream from special glands underneath our tongue called sublingual glands. Hence, the actual method is called sublingual administration. But you can't ask your cat and your dog to hold the oil underneath their tongue. So, the oils that are generally made for pets are made with a base oil, which is a multi-chain triglyceride, also known as MCT. This base oil mixed with CBD, because CBD likes to bind to a fat, and binding to a fat allows it to actually absorb into the bloodstream effectively, with high effectiveness. But the MCT is able to absorb, because of its multi, if you can say, little arms, and it's grabbing onto the CBD. I know it's not a scientific way of seeing it, but if that's how you want to see it, it kind of makes sense to me. It's able to take more CBD and get it into the system a lot quicker through the mouth of the pet and through the tissues, including down the throat, and then obviously into the digestive system. So it is starting to work immediately as soon as you put it into their mouth, and they start licking around, and they kind of actually spread the oil around their mouth. Because a lot of my clients, their pets take the oil directly. They've never had to mix it in a food. They've never had to hide it in a piece of ham or a piece of meat or a piece of sausage. They actually just give it directly to their pets, and their pets are loving the flavor of it. There's a video actually on the Healthy Hemp Facebook page of one of my clients with her pet, her furry family member, Bella. And Bella actually gets all excited when she sees the hemp vet, the CBD for pets from Hampshire, come out. So it shows you that you're not going to, there's a high possibility you're not going to actually have to hide the taste of a good quality CBD oil for pets. Now, the chews and the treats, as I said, I have not had the chews and the treats in stock, but I do know a lot of people that use them. I do know, though, that the chews and the treats, our pets tend to swallow things whole most of the time. You give them a piece of sausage and you're like, come on, chew that, and then it's already gone. So it does absorb more from the digestive system than actually starting in the animal's mouth. And any absorption, even in humans, from the digestive system, whether it be from capsules with humans or pets with the chews and the treats, will take a lot longer to get into the system. And the bioavailability of it is slightly less. So that is just a little bit on oils, chews, and treats. That's my own personal opinion. I can't talk about other brands. But what types of CBD are out there for pets? Well, you get isolate, which is only CBD. In other words, they take the CBD extract, the whole CBD extract, it goes through extensive processing, and you're left with a white crystal powder, which is pure CBD, and that is known as CBD isolate. It does not contain any of the other cannabinoids. Do you remember in the first slide I mentioned that CBD is just one of over 113 identified cannabinoids in the hemp plant? So CBD isolate has nothing else but CBD. It doesn't have CBN or any of the others or THC in it. So the full spectrum, though, is all those cannabinoids, including THC in the actual CBD extract. Now, obviously, in this instance, I'm talking about the CBD extract from the hemp plant. So it's all those cannabinoids from the CBD, from the extract, including THC, where the THC level is 0.2% or less. In many cases, it's actually such a trace amount that it's classed as THC free on the bottles. Although it is a full spectrum product, it is classed as THC free because the trace amounts, it could be 0.0017% or whatever, are so minimal that it's near undetectable. The next one we have is broad spectrum. Now, broad spectrum refers to, again, all the cannabinoids, except they have removed the THC 100%. So you have, again, CBD with all the other cannabinoids up to 113. Well, could be more, but those are the identified ones. But they have excluded the THC from that CBD extract altogether. Now, as I said earlier, the THC maximum permitted percentage allowed in any CBD product in the EU and in Ireland and in most countries around the world is 0.2%. Now, THC itself can be toxic for our pets in large amounts. So I do, and I've seen some terrible blogs of people giving their pets marijuana and so forth, but in actual fact, some of those pets have ended up in hospital, well, in the veterinary hospitals, and sometimes the outcome has not been very good at all. It's actually been very sad. So giving your pet marijuana because the THC levels are higher and you feel your pet may be needing more THC levels because of the properties related to THC is actually not necessarily a very good thing to do, because large amounts for pets, as I said, can be detrimentally toxic to your pet. Right, I put up a page here for you, and I'm going to minimize myself out of there so that you are able to read that. These are just some of the reviews that I have from my clients who have used CBD. In this case, the ones that I have up here is for canine, for our furry doggies. I myself and my family, we used CBD for our furry family member. His name was Tyson, and he is actually the model on our talk today at the from the Mind Body Experience live talks. Tyson was a Pomeranian. Unfortunately, we did lose him, but it was because he was suffering with a condition that we found out right at the last minute that doesn't show up until the last minute, called a hemangiosarcoma, which is a tumor on the spleen. And unfortunately, as the pet even indicated to us, that this usually shows up in the 11th hour or too late. But we were told that our little boy would maybe last a week. I put him onto CBD straight away. This was when CBD actually just became legal in Ireland. So unfortunately, I was not able to get it before this time. And I got the CBD for our fur baby, for Tyson. And when I took him back to the vet about 3 weeks later, she looked at him and said, "This is chalk and cheese." I said, "I know." He was back to running around. He was back to barking. He got his color back. It even looked like his fur had maybe actually faded a bit. But I did not expect, the CBD was not going to cure him of the hemangiosarcoma. I did not expect that at all. But I did want him to have at least a pain-free and happy last time of his life with us. And he did. He enjoyed 2.5 months with us. And when he did pass, he passed very calmly, very quietly, and very peacefully with no pain. But yes, I'm so grateful that I gave him the CBD. So there we go. And then I think you may all be finished with reading that now. I'm going to move on. So we've reached the end of our presentation here. And as I said, my name is Dallas. I'm from Healthy Hemp. I'm affiliated with the Irish Industrial Hemp Association, and my company and products are all fully approved, and they're all independently tested by EarLab. We are available if you have any queries that maybe you are not able to put forward to us now today, but we have an email there of support@healthyhemp.ie. We also have a website available at healthyhemp.ie. And if you feel you would like to talk to us in person or over the phone, there is our number, and you are welcome to give us a call at any time, and we will get back to you if we're not able to take your call straight away. So please, ladies and gentlemen, this is the disclaimer. If I could ask you to just give it a read. As I said myself, a lot of the tips and information that I've given today is from personal feedback from my clients, also from case studies that have been proven and published. We do not like to give misleading information to anybody, whether it be in person or in video, and we completely stay away from false statements. So if you wish to possibly look into CBD more for your pet, there are a few websites that I can provide you non-biased information. But other than that, I'm going to end the slideshow presentation now, and I will have a chat with anybody who is wanting to talk or has put any questions forward in the chat now. So thanks so much, and we are going to close that off for now. Go well.